What's going on, people? Welcome to another In Motion Football live stream. My name is Alam, and today we're checking in after day one of like serious training camp. I think there was a couple days where there have been teams in training camp, but only like one or two here or there. I would look parse through the news, and I never really saw anything too juicy. But today was, I think, the first day that every single team was in training camp. So I did some reading, have some thoughts, have some things I wanted to share with you guys, and we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna try to keep this stream short and sweet. Big up to everybody that's tapped in. 5 people watching live. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Okay, cool. I will hop right into it. Where is First stop in our journey is Jacksonville, Florida. Duval. Duval County, where we have a bit of a report on Travis Hunter. So here we have Jaguars receiver slash cornerback Travis Hunter spent his first training camp practice exclusively on offense, but the middle of next week he'll be practicing on both sides of the ball. Team has mapped out every moment of Hunter's time during practices for the entirety of camp, and that plan includes Hunter lining up at receiver and corner on the same day sometime during the first 6 practices. You want to give him a couple days on offense, a couple days on defense, give him an opportunity to go flip-flop within the same practice, and then that will kind of become the norm. So yes, we're gonna just go back to I can't show him. Yeah, we'll just keep it here. But yeah, the main takeaway here is that they essentially plan to practice Travis Hunter at both spots. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I don't think this is the right approach. My take is that I think he should focus on one side of the ball and have sub packages for the other side of the ball, and that's truly just out of respect for how hard it is to be good at either one of these spots. I don't really have to I don't think he can play both sides of the ball full time. I don't also put a whole lot of weight on my opinion because I didn't think it would even happen at a high level in college. But here we are, right? Nonetheless, though, if you're talking about getting a young player's feet wet in NFL football, I think 2 positions at the very beginning is just like damn near information overload. The other side of it, though, is that like football is obviously a team game. And his teammates will have to learn to work with him. And I think that's more of a deal on defense than offense. But his teammates have to work with him and get used to literally a different guy. And of course, over the course of an NFL year, injuries happen and players get used to playing with people that they don't have a ton of familiarity with. But yeah, defensive backfields are units. And he's going to be this part-time defensive player that all his teammates are going to have to learn how to play the zone coverage with on a part-time basis. So, there always is a time in the NFL season where a team has all their starters and they have a unit that has a whole lot of cohesion and chemistry because these are guys that have been practicing a ton. That's almost guaranteed to never happen for Jacksonville because Travis Hunter is just about guaranteed to be a part-time player defensively. Still alive? Am I still here? Okay, we're back. But yeah, I just think, like I said, I think they should have made him a receiver full time. Because there's less team connection that's required to play receiver. You just have to run the routes and understand the plays. Obviously, not to say that there's no benefit from playing with your teammates. And then just have special plays here and there in defensive situations. And then maybe year 2, year 3, again, as the game becomes more instinctual, you put more responsibilities on his shoulders. But yeah, I think flip-flopping him early in his career, both sides of the ball, I just don't think it's the right approach. The next place we're going to go, where can we go? You know what? We're going to take us to the team that traded Travis Hunter. We're going to take you guys to Cleveland to talk about the Browns quarterback situation. So, get out of here. Okay. Injury news to start the day. RB situation. So Judkins obviously has his off the field stuff going on. Jerome Ford is the top running back, which I'm sure people aren't happy to see. But again, horrible situation all around. Quarterback plan. That point is talking about how it's uncertain and up in the air. Dwayne Jones. Okay, rep order at QB. Even if it doesn't matter yet, we'll still check according to reports in individual drills. It's Kenny Pickett first, Flacco second, Gabriel third, Sanders fourth. And then you see the tweet here. Flacco goes first with the first team reps. Rookies getting same time on the other field. Dylan Gabriel first. During the first team drills, Flacco got the first shot with the first, I think for the first team, and then Pickett got the next shot. There's no other updates. Okay, so my main takeaway here is that I think this is the most conservative and soft approach to this quarterback battle, which is the right approach. So there's nothing wrong with them doing this. But yeah, essentially, if you think about how they've done it, well, okay, Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders went third and fourth, so rookies last, and they're going in order of draft pick. And then if you look at Pickett versus Flacco, they actually flip-flopped them, right? According to reports, this part of it says Pickett went first, Flacco went second. During the team drills, though, it flip-flops. Flacco goes first, Pickett goes second. So the point is like they flip-flopped the vets, right, which is fair, and then they just had the rookies go in order of draft pick after that. This is the safest, least controversial way to do it, which is what you can expect. But what we're going to monitor is how this changes. They didn't say much about who played better than other people. It is day one of training camp, so I'm sure that that's not something that they're overly fixated about. But yeah, just wanted to touch base with Cleveland and see what's going on in their training camp. It appears as though they haven't committed to anything yet, which just means that they're open to this being a competition fully. Like there's no preconceived notions about somebody not having an opportunity at the starting job yet. I think there was even a point somewhere here about how they did it. From what we've learned, day one, Kevin Stefanski will be using two fields at times with the four quarterbacks, two on each field, to help maximize the reps and evaluation. He has his plan of the timeline on deciding things, blah, 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 blah. So point is like they're literally using as much field as possible to evaluate them all as much as possible. So this is a true competition, but we're definitely gonna, definitely gonna keep track of this and see how things develop. Okay, down to the Eagles, Philadelphia. So there's a couple updates here I want to highlight. Where is it? Okay. So Jahad Campbell, somebody who was injured for the pre-draft process and there wasn't clarity about when he was going to be playing for Philadelphia. Apparently he's there and ready to go. What's going on, Disco Flash? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Let me know if there's anything from Chiefs camp that you've heard that's worth talking about, but shout out to you, man. Looking forward to this season for sure. It's going to be a good one, especially with the community we're building. We're going to have a lot of fun. But Eagles training camp news is just Jahad Campbell is on the field earlier than expected. And then where's the other bit? Defensive depth chart notes. No. Okay. Eagles seem to be excited about Jalix Hunt, and for a good reason. While we should absolutely take any defensive highlights with a grain of salt before the pads come on, Hunt had a great rep with a sack. And Mailata joked that it's not fair that he had to go from blocking Josh Sweat to Hunt. All good. From what I saw, that there wasn't anything that particularly stood out, except that Hollywood Brown and Pat Mahomes seemed to have a pretty good connection going. But yeah, Jordan Mailata compared Jalix Hunt to Michael Parsons in terms of his burst, which is obviously just comparing one trait. That's not like comparing them as players. But the reason I'm bringing this up is that when I talked about the Eagles going into next year, and when I talked about what I'm looking for in training camp for the Eagles, is the fact that we lost a bunch of talent on the defensive side of the ball, and all their replacements are young players. So we're relying on internal development, which is a complete unknown. It's a complete bet and a gamble. So Jalen Hunt is one of the people that's being gambled on. He's a pass rusher. He's Josh Sweat's replacement. He's somebody who played his best football in the playoffs last year. But you're seeing some more hype about him. So I mean that's good to see. But that's only one player. Jahad Campbell, the first round pick. Now he's not necessarily filling a void of somebody who left, but he's another player that can be a difference maker. And the earlier he gets healthy, the better. There's a point here about Ringo not having a great day in practice today. He did have some plays that didn't go his way as he battles for the starting job. So Ringo is the Darius Slay replacement. Ringo is I think a 4th round pick of a couple years ago, somebody who played at a high level at Georgia, which is a pretty familiar thing for the Eagles defense. But yeah, this is another player to keep in mind. I highlighted a bunch of players before training camp. So it was Moro Ajomo, Ringo, Jalen Hunt, Jahad Campbell, and then I guess you could say Andrew Makuba. So there wasn't any news about Makuba other than Sidney Brown. Oh, this isn't about him playing, but Sidney Brown essentially he looked to be ahead of Drew Makuba, but that makes sense because rookies tend to not be high on depth charts at the beginning of training camp. But a couple things to monitor is like, do we at some point hear about Jahad Campbell ramping up and playing even more? Do we hear about Drew Makuba playing more? Do we hear about Ringo having a better day? But yeah, justifiably so. The Eagles' young players on defense are, that's the main focal point and the main thing I'll be watching. But from Philadelphia, the next place we're going to head is New York, the other gang green. We're going to touch base with the New York Jets, who I think there's a pretty interesting thing. I saw one note that I thought was interesting. Where is it? Okay. The Ohio State chemistry of Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields was evident from the first rep of 11 on 11. They produced the 2 sexiest plays of the day. A 40-plus yard touchdown on a corner route as Field threw to a spot before Wilson got there. A 25-yard leaping sideline catch over Brandon Stevens. So I saw the catch over Brandon Stevens, and I tried to tell you guys that guy was not good at football. But yeah, pretty clear chemistry between Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields, 2 people that played at Ohio State together. And I mean, there's that, right? There's that reason to, I guess, highlight their chemistry. But the other thing is that with the focus on Wilson, with the focus that Wilson will command from defenses, someone from the wide receiver or tight end group is going to have to step up to be the number 2 option. Otherwise, Wilson will be doubled all year. Now, I'm doing some reading between the lines here because it's not explicitly stated what this means. My takeaway from this, though, is that everybody else looked trash. So we can quickly look at the Jets' hour lads, and it makes sense why this might be a concern. But yeah, if you look at this room, right, aside from Garrett Wilson, you got Josh Reynolds, journeyman who hasn't really produced that much in a long time. Alan Lazard, right? Somebody who's never produced outside of Aaron Rodgers, definitely liking him as a human being. Tyler Johnson, journeyman. Arian Smith, 4th round pick. Malachi Corley, 3rd round pick. And apparently he had a rough day in practice today, right? There are like no receivers. TD Bank, get the hell out of here. From a tight end standpoint, right? There's no names here except for 2nd round pick Mason Taylor, and he's a rookie. So when you go back to this note here, which is that, Wilson and Fields seem to love each other and have a lot of chemistry. The flip side of it is that beyond them just having a tendency to know how to play as a tandem, there's a distinct lack of options for Fields when he drops back to pass. And the knock on Fields as is that he's not somebody who sees the whole field. He's not somebody who reads the field all that well. So all things considered, it looks like you're going to get a ton of Garrett Wilson next year. So if you play fantasy football and if that's your thing, you got to look into drafting Garrett Wilson because Justin Fields is going to be going there early and often by the looks of it. And like I said, Mason Taylor is the only player I really expect to have a chance when it comes to potentially being a number 2. But you're banking on a rookie tight end. First of all, he's a rookie. But second of all, tight ends tend to need time to develop. So, yeah, again, if you play fantasy, I keep your eyes peeled for Garrett Wilson. All right. we are now going to go from New York to Washington to check what's going on with the Commanders. So this Commanders, I didn't see any good Commanders reports for a lot of this time. For like a lot of from a lot of the people that were actually what the hell? No, there we go. Okay, that were reporting on the Commanders practice. But I'm gonna find something I found interesting. This mouse says it. Oh, Jaden Daniels. It's about the edge rushers, because you guys who heard me previewing training camp and just generally previewing the season, you guys heard me talk about how I think the Commanders' pass rush is what's really stopping them from being a contender, because you can't be a serious contender without at least a good pass rush, and I just don't like their options on paper. You got the offensive line report here, but there's nothing crazy here, nothing we didn't already know. Where is the point? Okay, here it is. Here it is. So Louvu and Miller at the edge with Armstrong and Kane on the interior. First of all, Dorrance Armstrong getting kicked into to the inside is interesting. Let me look up how much he weighs. I did not know this was in his game. Dorrance Armstrong is 255. So this must have been a sub package. But the point is that you're seeing Von Miller and Frankie Louvu. Two players that literally for the longest time have not been on the Commanders depth chart for edge rusher, were two of the top players playing for them at edge rusher. So that's a pretty clear indication of what their edge situation looks like. It's not a favorable one on their team. You got Dorrance Armstrong kicking inside. Like I said, this must have been like a third down, go get the quarterback kind of a situation, because I don't think Dorrance Armstrong plays on the inside long term. But then the other side of it is that, like, I think it makes sense to do this because I don't think Kinlaw is very good, and they gave him a bunch of money. Johnny Newton, I do think, is good. So, I mean, I'm assuming he'll probably get a lot of the snaps when they're in more regular situations. But yeah, Louvu and Von Miller on the edge. The other thing is Louvu has done individual drills dating back to spring with the edge rushers. He will line up there a lot. So it does look like this is a part of the Commanders' solution to the edge rusher spot. They got Von Miller. They're going to play Frankie Louvu there a lot. It does look like we're gonna see that next year. So that's not something that I don't look at that and see a scary edge rushing rotation. And again, I think that's going to be the big difference for the Commanders. But we're going to continue to monitor that throughout training camp. Next place we're going is Miami. So Miami, they seem to be pretty in flux. There was an interesting quote from Tua about Tyreek kind of having to rebuild his trust in the locker room after mentioning that he's out. I'm not going to fixate on that too much. There's a point about the cornerbacks that I wanted to talk about. First of all, just to address things, though, Artie Burns out for the year with the torn ACL. I don't want to make jokes about somebody who just went out for the year because of an injury, but the thing is that their cornerback situation is so dire, and Artie Burns being a loss is an indication of how dire it is. Like, literally, like, trying not to make jokes at a time where somebody just sustained a major injury, but like, he was their vet. Like, that was the guy who's been around the block that they thought maybe could contribute. So that sucks. And then also Bayron Matos, hopefully he's okay. I didn't see what the injury was. I see an undisclosed injury. I just hope he's okay. That's scary stuff to start training camp. Okay, I wanted to go to a part of this article about the corners. Okay, here it is. Keep an eye on Kendall Sheffield in the battle to the for the open cornerbacks job opposite Kader Kohu. Sheffield hasn't started a game since starting 20 for Atlanta in his first two seasons, 2019 and 2020. A fourth-round pick out of Ohio State. Storm Duck and Cam Smith. So Storm Duck was an undrafted player from last year. Cam Smith, I think, was like a third-round pick from 2 years ago. We'll double-check this stuff because we're going to look at a depth chart. But it seems likely that Miami will sign a veteran at some point. For now, all the young corners will get plenty of snaps. A reminder that reporters are not permitted to say what players line up with the first team or second team. Reading between the lines, it looks like Kendall Sheffield was getting a lot of the snaps with the first team, and Storm Duck and Cam Smith were getting the second team snaps. Again, you have to do some reading between the lines because of that rule there. But we're going to, again, look at the Dolphins' depth chart. Oh, my goodness. They are going to get shredded in the air next year. I don't think they're going to be able to cover teams. Because, again, I wasn't even considering Kendall Sheffield because Kendall Sheffield has barely been playing. 20 starts in 2019 and 2020. No starts in the last 5 years. And this is the guy that is going to get a real chance at getting snaps. Again, if you look at their starters right now, you got Kader Kohu, who I think is guaranteed to get a starting job because he's actually good. But Cam Smith and Storm Duck, a second-round pick from 2023 who's in a battle with a guy who's barely played ball recently, and Storm Duck, an undrafted free agent. So clearly Cam Smith is trash. Storm Duck, promising UDFA, but promising UDFAs, when I see them go on to be starters, I know that they're just like functional starters. This isn't really somebody who's going to be the strength of your defense. And then Kendall Sheffield. We're going to have to look up Kendall Sheffield's snap counts because I cannot believe he is somebody who looks like he's going to win the job. How many games has he played? Games, 20 games started. Oh my goodness. Didn't even play in 2022. Played 11 games in the last 2 years. And this, so again, people, read between the lines here. When it says keep an eye on Kendall Sheffield to get the snaps, and then Storm Duck and Cam Smith are also very much in the mix. And then a reminder that reporters are not permitted to say what players line up with the first and second team. It looks like Kendall Sheffield is going to get the starting job, or is, a threat to get the starting job at corner. This is a mess. Their cornerback situation is horrible. Again, I would highlight this point here, and it seems likely that Miami will sign a veteran at some point because goodness gracious, they need to. I see Genoa is in here. What's going on, Genoa? I didn't see any major Chargers updates when it comes to training camp, so if you have any, feel free to drop those in the chat and we can address them. I just didn't see anything. But yeah, big up to you, bro. Okay. Long story less long. Dolphins DBs are going to be like the weakness of their team. And I think they're about to be a dumpster fire next year. Just one man's thoughts, though. Next place we're going. I'm taking you. Oh, literally, I don't support the Texans. I'm taking you from. Can I zoom out? Okay, I'm taking you from Miami to Texas, one hot place to another. We're going to talk about the offensive line. Skip through all these updates. Actually, no, I lied. Hold on. There was an update here. TEOC equals TE expanded role. So Nick Caley, I think himself was a tight end, or I think a tight ends coach. And it said here, first play of 11 on 11s, Brevin Jordan in the flat for a big gain. Second pass is Schultz for a decent gain over the middle. Looks like there's a lot of tight end usage. And if you think about how young their receivers are, that sounds like a good way to start the year out. And then as the rookies get their feet underneath them, that's probably the direction they'll head in towards. But yeah, interesting start for the Texans. From a tactical standpoint, I think that all the rumors about them being a power running team, it makes sense if you play a lot of two tight end football. So the Texans might look pretty different next year. Tank Dell update, blah, 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 blah. Where's the offensive line updates? Okay, Texans offensive line set. Basically, apparently this is what it looked like. So Cam Robinson on the left, not great. Apparently kind of struggled with Minnesota. No. Laken Tomlinson struggled in Seattle. Jared Patterson didn't play the best last year for Houston, but got better towards the end of the year. Titus Howard, good football player, but he's transitioning from tackle to guard, so I expect him to probably play better than he did as a guard. That's the only reason to make the switch. But yeah, like he'll probably be good. And then Tay Ursery, a rookie at right tackle. Second round pick. This is a gamble. Now, what I find interesting is their second round pick from last year, Blake Fisher, apparently behind Cam Robinson and Ursery. I think that's a bad sign. If Blake Fisher can't beat out a washed Cam Robinson and a rookie Ariante Ursery, then he's not good either. They brought in Ed Ingram. He's not playing at guard either. They're not playing Juice Scruggs. So already benching some options that they had, and this is what they have so far. This is not good. It says I'd expect the offensive line to continue to shuffle, but this is what they started out with. This is not good. This is not going to get good. Again, I highlighted the Texans offensive line for a long time this offseason. And when I talked about what I'll be looking for in training camp are updates on the Texans offensive line. And there's no updates about whether they look good or not good, but I'm just personally not expecting this to go well if this is what they're putting out there. So Houston, we have a problem. Insert all your Houston jokes here, but that is not great. That is not a great starting offensive line. Again, Cam Robinson struggled last year. Laken Tomlinson struggled last year. Jarrett Patterson struggled until he got things figured out towards the end of last year. Titus Howard is changing positions, and Tay Urserby is a rookie. So, Texans fans, you got to cross your fingers. I've said for a while now, I personally believe that they're an offensive line away from being a super team, but not having an offensive line will make you look very different than super team. So again, we're going to continue to monitor that, but that hashtag is not great. Next place we're going to go to, I'm going to take you guys from Houston to New Orleans, where we got a bit of a quarterback update. Not anything major, but still something I find interesting because I think it's a more realistic image of what's going on in New Orleans. They get graded, and when I look at that today, Spencer Rattler won the day, said the Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert, or Hebert. I don't know how French he is in Louisiana. So you can chalk it up because the coaches are doing that. So it certainly wasn't an aggressive day on offense with a host of designed runs and quarterback draws. There were several designed checkdowns or throwback screens. Only a handful of plays were designed to go downfield. That's probably what the Saints offense is going to look like next year when you look at their lack of weapons. And obviously, like, their quarterback play that's probably going to need to be schemed for in terms of like them not being great at quarterback and wanting to scheme a lot of safe stuff for the players. Best throw hitting Olave on a deep dig during 7-on-7s, but by my count, Rattler went 9 for 9 passing with most of those throws at or near the line of scrimmage. So they got the training wheels on Rattler, but again, Kellen Moore is going to have the training wheels on whoever plays at quarterback. But the update that I thought was a little bit juicy was on Tyler Shuck. And mind you, again, I don't want to make a huge deal out of a rookie playing year 2 in training camp because that wouldn't be right. But it did happen, and it is worth talking about. So Shuck took the second team drills and looked a bit like a rookie getting into full 11-on-11 drills at the NFL level for the first time. The good news is that's exactly what he is. There were at least 2 would-be sacks, one of which saw Shuck slip. That's a tongue twister and fall behind the line. There were 2 misses. There was a few misses. Those best throw of the day was a back shoulder ball to Marcus Yarns on a wheel route that the UDFA appeared to drop. Shuck had 15 reps in total and went 2 for 5 passing, 2 for 5 on passing attempts. How he only got 5 passing attempts out of 10 reps, man, you gotta let him throw the ball. I wouldn't overreact to this result, to those results at this point. The rookie will get the first team reps on Thursday, and I expect to see him settle in. Quarterbacks tend to look better when they're throwing to their top targets, and the clock needs to speed up a little bit, and I think it will. So, not to make a big deal out of this, I highlight this to maybe just shed light on exactly how dire the Saints quarterback situation is. Because, good God, is this shaky, right? You got Rattler, who they're scheming up basically the Bo Nix offense for. Then you got Shuck, who's out here, and they're barely having him throw the ball. But when he does, 2 for 5, he's slipping all over the place. Yeah, man, this team is primed for a top pick. This team is primed for whoever is at the top of the draft, whether it's Sellers, Manning, whoever it is. Who's the quarterback from Penn State? I forget his name. Aller, right? So, I mean, the Saints look like they'll be there. Again, I don't think they're going to get good quarterback play. The third guy that's competing is Jake Haener. Haener is pretty trash too. So yeah, it's not a great set of options for the Saints at the quarterback position. But again, I'm not highlighting this to say, oh, look how bad Shuck looks. He sucks. I mean, not a big Shuck fan from a talent standpoint, but also like this is what they've put all like these are the baskets they've put their eggs in, right? 26-year-old rookie Tyler Shuck, who's played some horrendous ball in college, and they're gonna hope figures it out, right? But again, read this paragraph. He's in the process of figuring it out. You got Spencer Rattler, who has had some pretty high ups and downs. Damn, I just saw something really weird on TV. Has had some pretty had some serious ups and downs. You're gonna hope that he figures it out. But if you read the reports, scheming up a lot of really easy stuff for him, and that'll help him not look bad. But at the same time, that's gonna make it hard to be good on the football field as an offense. So the Saints not in a good spot at the quarterback position. But we're gonna leave New Orleans now with that little update. We're gonna keep our eyes on that, and we're gonna go to Chicago. Continue without supporting us. Apologies, Bleacher Nation. And this is what I wanted to talk about. So, according to multiple reports out of House Hall, Ben Johnson fumingly pulled his first team offense off the field after the unit failed to get lined up during 11-on-11s. About an hour into the practice, the first unit during 11-on-11s lining up botched something, and then they botched it again. Johnson and Williams weren't scheduled to speak to the media. But yeah, so basically, it looks like Johnson pull the first thing. That's on par for Ben. If you're not doing it right, he's going to get you out, and it's not going to just he's not going to just see that stuff continue. It's a lesson to us. We got to be on the details. Blah 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 blah. I say this all just to say, like, it seems like the adults are in the room for Chicago. So that's good to see. Chicago, I didn't, and this is the thing, like when people talk about Chicago having a good offseason and becoming a good team, the thing I've always cautioned is that stuff doesn't happen overnight. I think Chicago is headed in the right direction, absolutely. But this is very par for the course for, I think, where they're at as a team. I think more of this is going to happen. But it does sound like they have a coach that has the right approach to dealing with these kind of things. Seems like he's, starting off with this, like he's setting this as a tone. And I think that's good for his ability to stay coaching the team hard. But I think that's what the team needs. Nobody looks at Chicago and sees a team void of talent. We see a team that's just not executing and playing good ball. So hopefully Ben Johnson's able to get a higher level of execution. But I did think this was interesting to read. Seems pretty different from the more laid-back approach the Eberflus regime seemed to have in terms of Caleb Williams saying that he didn't have people to watch film with and whatnot. So you go from somebody who's that hands-off to somebody this hands-on. And I think that's a good thing for sure. So yeah, we're going to go from Chicago to their arch rival in Green Bay, the second last team that we have queued up for today. And we're going to check out what's going on with the Packers. There's a couple of things I thought were worth talking about. Sean Ryan. Okay, here's one of them. New addition, Nate Hobbs started at outside cornerback when the defense was in base, with second-year Javon Bullard starting in the slot during the initial first-team work. So Nate Hobbs is a player that has position versatility. I did some research. He's played 1,600 snaps in the slot and 800 snaps on the outside. What does that mean? That means he can play on the outside. But basically 2/3 of his snaps being in the slot means that whatever he did to get paid by Green Bay, he did it mostly in the slot. Like that's where his best work is. If he was better on the outside, I promise you he would be getting played on the outside. He got played in the slot more than on the outside because that's probably where his best ball is. But lo and behold, you got Green Bay signing a player and having them do something different than what they did to get paid. And I don't think that's a great recipe. I don't think that that's the best way to do things. That's what they've decided to do. When it comes to their corners last year, I thought that they were a bit undersized and frankly just not good enough. And I can't say after this that things are different. Nate Hobbs, I think he definitely has good size. But he came from Vegas. Vegas wasn't a team with phenomenal outside corners. If he was better on the outside than on the inside, he would have played out there, and he didn't. So that's weird. Speaking of weird, though, Tucker Kraft got work early on in practice as a kick returner. What is this? We got tight ends returning kicks. This is ridiculous. Is there anything else that's crazy here? No, these are the two ones. But yeah, again, the Nate Hobbs thing, I could be nitpicking there. It's how I feel. But if he goes on to play a good on the outside, at least that's within the realm of possibility. Tucker Kraft being a good kick returner is absolutely not in the realm of possibility. And it's not something I can understand. So I don't know why they did it. I don't know what the vision is. And they just need to cut that out. Like, surely there's even somebody undrafted who won't make the team. Surely the snaps could be used better than Tucker Kraft running kicks back. So that was kind of weird to see. And the last place we're going to go is Dallas, Texas. Actually, I lied. We would be going to Oxnard. It would not even be Dallas. But yeah, we're going to head out to Dallas to touch base with Schottenheimer, who seems to be kind of doing some Ben Johnson things. So the first point is that it looks like Kenneth Murray is going to be one of the starting linebackers. This is somebody who has had his struggles, somebody who hasn't played the best football up to this point. I think he's played on the Chargers and the Titans. Things haven't particularly looked great in either spot. But he is going to get another chance in Dallas in a different kind of a scheme. But then the other thing the more important thing I wanted to talk about was Brian Schottenheimer threatens to kick out players from practice because there were people that were fighting, and Schottenheimer figured that the fighting was getting in the way of the football, and he said that the next people to fight get kicked out of practice. I can't say I would be the authority on what the right or wrong thing to do here is. I think it would be silly for me to act like I understand this stuff to a high level. What I would say, though, is that, like, I don't think you need to be threatening your players to get them to stop fighting. Maybe it is necessary. I don't know. My main takeaway when I saw this is that, like, if you have players that have those kind of tendencies, you should want to see it in practice to kind of know who that is. I feel like by stifling it in practice, like, you might think that means that, if they get used to not fighting in practice, nobody will do it during a game. I kind of think there's a chance that if you repress this stuff and you don't know who you need to sit down with and have a discussion with, that this might spill over in a game because people are more bottled up. I don't know. I might be wrong about that, but this kind of feels, but he's son of a coach. He's been a coordinator for a long time. He's been around a lot of NFL locker rooms. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. But you know what? This might solely be about George Pickens. I think I might have just completely changed my tune live and on the fly. This might be the George Pickens provision. Like, when you have George Pickens, you have to make it abundantly clear that no fighting is allowed. Because if you say fighting is allowed, I think George Pickens might just beat people's ass all game. I think maybe, or all practice. I think maybe that's what this is about. You know what? I understand it better. I understand it much, 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 much better. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. We're going to have to keep an eye on if Cowboys players get in fights. If so, how often? If so, do they get kicked out? And if so, is George Pickens involved? So that's night one of our training camp roundups, people. Shout out to everybody that's tapped in. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Just a heads up about what we're doing. Essentially, what the plan is that at the end of the day, on my way from work, home from work, on the train, I'm going to go on my phone and I'm going to look through updates from training camps. And if I find good, interesting things that I want to talk about, I'm going to go live. It'll probably be late in the day. I think I went live today around like 10:20 Eastern time. That's probably a little bit later than I'd like to do it, but anywhere between 8 and 10 on weeknights, I'll be going live to talk about things that I find are interesting from training camp. So yeah, make sure you guys tap in. Make sure you guys keep an eye out. I'll probably be making text posts like I did today. If I'm going to go live, I'll let you guys know. If you guys don't see a text post, I'm not going live. But on that note, I'm going to get out of here. Like I said, make sure you guys support the content if you appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in a bit. You guys take care. I am out.